just got off the phone, you about to run the play and get the bag. But the first thing you want to do is check the paperwork because you don't want no problems with your bands. The same way you check the paperwork on business before you fly any plane, it's 5 pieces of paperwork you want to check. Let go. Boom! Whenever you're trying to remember anything in aviation, there's always a checklist or an acronym. In this situation right here, when you talk about checking that paperwork, the acronym you want to remember is ARROW. ARROW. It's going to tell you everything you need to know to make sure that paperwork's straight so you can run that thing. You check the paperwork on every plane that you jump in before you start flying. Let's go from A to W. Run that thing. The A in ARROW stands for Airworthiness Certificate. You want to make sure whatever aircraft you're in that you can find and locate the Airworthiness Certificate. You want to make sure it's validated, stamped and approved, and it's ready and up to date. It's letting you know that that aircraft is indeed airworthy and it's ready to swing and bang in the sky. First, RO. R. You want to roll those R's like El Español. In ARROW stands for registration. Not only do you want to make sure that the aircraft that you're in has a registration and you can locate it, you want to be careful and read the date on it as well because registrations do expire. So every 3 years, the aircraft owner has to re-register the aircraft. So you don't want to just make sure that it has a registration. You want to make sure the registration is up to date. And once you do and find out and locate that, you are ready to go. The next RO in ARROW stands for Radio Certificate. And this is very important, particularly for them international flights. Remember, we're going to be swinging and banging that thing globally, baby, all over the world. And when you're dipping in a lot of them Caribbean waters or just wherever you are internationally, you're going to need that radio certificate. So you want to make sure that is also validated and up to date on your aircraft. The O in the acronym ARROW stands for the Owner's Manual. Don't confuse this with the POH, which is the Pilot's Operating Handbook. They can be very similar, but they're different. You want that owner's manual to be inside the plane. This is the manual that came with the aircraft. Think about it very similar to the same way you think about your car. With your car, you have a registration. So you're going to also need that registration on that aircraft. You also have an owner's manual that comes with your car. You're going to need that same similar kind of owner's manual inside the plane of the aircraft that you're flying. So it's a lot of similarities here. That's why it's kind of easy to remember this stuff, particularly when you're talking about that acronym and just lining everything up that you need. Boom! And the O stands for owner's manual. And the W in the acronym ARROW stands for weight and balance. This is a term that you want to become very familiar with as a pilot because it's going to be used quite frequently and there's going to be different aspects of weight and balance. First, you're going to have a weight and balance that you're going to have to calculate as a pilot in command. That's going to be your weight, of course, the weight of your passengers, any gear that may be involved in there. But we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about the weight and balance of the aircraft. Completely different kind of weight and balance. This is what is the weight and balance of the standard aircraft when you're not in it. This comes with the aircraft when it rolls off the assembly line. But if anything changes on that aircraft, the weight and balance must change and it must be updated as well. Let's just say it came off standard edition and then the aircraft owner decided to paint the aircraft candy red and had that thing glistening in the sky. Well, it's going to need a new weight and balance after it's been painted. If you add new avionics, maybe the avionics are a little bit heavier than the old avionics that were a little bit lighter, it's going to need a new weight and balance. The slightest little thing, new seats, anything can just change the weight and balance of the whole aircraft. So it must be calculated, it must be up to date, and it must be in the aircraft. And this is one of the documents that you're going to be looking for to make sure it's up to date and make sure it's there because you're going to use that heavily, obviously, when you calculate your own weight and balance of passengers, gear, etc., to be able to get in flight and to be able to have that thing float through the sky. Airworthiness Certificate, registration, radio certificate, owner's manual, and weight and balance. These are the 5 pieces of paperwork that you want to make sure is straight before you step foot in the aircraft and begin to fly. I am Donovan Batiste. Don't forget to like this video. Hey, subscribe to this channel for more pilot talk. Link to the merch all in the description below. I am Donovan Batiste. Subscribe to this channel one time. Hey.